Golfers, if you're ready to get in better shape, increase distance, and avoid injuries, it's time to take your fitness seriously. And today's guest will show you how. Gregg Avedon is one of the most accomplished fitness professionals in the world, with over 25 men's health covers, top-rated cookbooks, and more than 4 decades of experience. He's trained first-time lifters, celebrities, and elite athletes, not to mention managed The Rock's private gym and knows exactly what it takes to build a strong, athletic body that lasts. In this episode of Wicked Smart Golf, Gregg shares his simple but powerful approach to fitness for golfers. We'll cover topics like the best forms of cardio that will help your game and which ones to avoid, why resistance training is the #1 key to unlocking more speed and longevity, the non-negotiables for staying strong, lean, and mobile, how to simplify your workouts and train with intention, and why nutrition is the missing link for most golfers. If you're tired of guessing in the gym and finally want to train with purpose, this episode is your blueprint. Watch now and start training like a wicked smart golfer. Let's dive in. All right, Gregg, thanks so much for being a guest on Wicked Smart Golf, man. Really excited to talk with you today.
Michael, I appreciate it, man. It's great to be here.
It's kind of a full circle moment for me. So before we get all of your knowledge and wisdom on fitness and nutrition for golfers, I got to just say thank you, man. I mean, I've been following your stuff for like 20 years. It's wild. Me and my roommate Jimmy in college were really getting into the fitness side of things because I put on the freshman 10, the sophomore 30. You know, we were drinking and living a Jack in the Box, and it caught up to me, and I was feeling terrible about myself, and I was like, I got to go to the gym. And then you start going to the gym, and then you start getting men's health, and then found you through men's health, and eventually we found the cookbook over here, the muscle chow. As you can tell, this thing's it's been with me for a while. So we got into muscle chow and got into really good shape and in college, and honestly it's been a really big part of my life ever since, and even motivated to become a NASM trainer for a little while after college. So thanks for all you've done so far, man.
Of course, man. I love when I hear stories like that. I mean, it's so cool. People reach out to me pretty often, and these guys could be like jacked, and they're reaching out and saying, man, I was this little guy, you inspired me, and now they're like 3 times bigger than me, but it's really cool to hear. And it's happened quite a bit. So I guess that happens when you're in the industry for so long. But I'm just grateful to just the fact that, I can inspire people to be better, within themselves and better themselves. Yeah.
I mean, you were on like every men's health cover I was buying. I was like, who is this guy? What were you on, 25 total?
Yeah, it was like 25, and then worldwide it was like over 60, just because they did them in so many different countries. And I was one of the only guys that was under contract with Men's Health. So I had we minimum of 2 covers a year, but we ended up doing 4 to 6 covers, and it was a great experience. And that's why people tend to think that, oh, he's a fitness model, and I was really a fashion model. But, just fortunate enough, because I had such a love of health and wellness and fitness, that I could, kind of segue into doing the men's health stuff. And it really gives you a rhyme or reason when you're training, you're eating clean, you're doing all that stuff. And I know that like not everybody has that, because you kind of like, you need a goal to kind of drive yourself forward. And that was something that I was so appreciative for, and something that I recommend to even my clients now and people all throughout my past. It was like, find something that you can kind of create a hook for, and that keeps you in the game, that keeps you going, keeps you hungry, and so, I learned it firsthand, which was great.
Yeah, man. And that's actually a great place to start because allegedly you're 60 years old, which I still can't even believe. And so that's kind of the first question is you've been in incredible shape for literally decades. I mean, most people kind of yo-yo and go through phases and the dad bod, we hear all these things. What do you think are some of the non-negotiables you've had that have helped you stay fit over, 4+ decades?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, again, is just, the fact that I have to be in front of the camera. Now I'm retired now, but I'm having to do social media and things like that, but that doesn't necessarily motivate me to stay in shape, because now it's just who I am. But, for me, I think like if you're talking about non-negotiables, I would never just take off. I'm going to be training consistently at all times. I'm going to be eating clean at all times. Now, if I relax in the nutrition, I usually say that it's a percentage,
Mm.
so like let's say I'm at 70% clean and then I'm at 90% clean or 80% clean. That's kind of how I would do it. And I would say I kind of rest in that 80% clean, which it's going to keep you at about 7 to 10% body fat, looking good most of the time. You can take off your shirt, feel pretty good about it. In the gym, you're staying fit and healthy and in shape, really not taking time off. I don't understand what that means, because I just, how can you create a consistent, way of life if you're not being consistent? You have to just, those are the non-negotiables. It's just like, I'm not going to take off time. I'm not going to bend on my nutrition. I'm not a drinker. So that's something that I just won't do. I'm not going to drink because I hear that often from like my clients will say,
Hmm.
"Oh, I have to drink because I'm doing these meetings." And no, you don't. You don't. Just do you. Be you.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, you inspire people. So they might give you crap and about, "Oh, you're not eating this or that." I don't even talk about it. I just do what I do. But just being who you are inspires people. So it's like don't lower yourself, to make other people feel more comfortable. Just be you, because that's really what at the end of the day is what is going to inspire people, because it's inevitable. You'll find people that will give you crap today, 3 days from now they'll be asking you, what is it that you do again? So I think that the consistency is huge. The consistency in everything that you do, if it's meditation, if it's your nutrition, if it's training, if it's golf, whatever it is, if it's practice, you have to be consistent in what you're doing. And that's not saying like you're out of control, because we were talking about it a little bit earlier about staying balanced. I think that that's the key, is like, you don't want to be out of balance in any one direction. And that's not to say we don't in our lifetime, but those are learning lessons.
Hmm.
Because like in muscle chow, I talk about the pendulum swinging. If it swings so far in one direction, it's going to come back and swing in the other direction. So that's where that balance comes into play. It's okay to have highs and lows.
Hmm.
So, that's why I say, like, if I were to be eating a nutrition plan that's like 70% clean, I know I'm going to be cleaning it up soon, and I'm going to be on that 90, but you can't be at 90 all the time.
Hmm.
It just, again, it's all about balance, really.
So I heard balance and consistency. I feel like discipline is a common thing. That's really one of the things that we talk about in golf a lot, is having the discipline to, pick the right club or not get, mad and deal with playing partners. And that's why I wanted to, have you on, is because I felt like if we can get in the habit of good discipline off the course with fitness, nutrition, supplementation, it's actually going to help on the golf course. You just can't be disciplined on the golf course if you're a wreck outside of it. So do you feel like discipline is something that people, I mean, you still work with clients, I know, is it something you're trying to like help them stay steady with, or what do you think are some of the keys to just being so disciplined in different areas?
Yeah, I think if it means that much to you, you're going to care enough to be disciplined about what you're doing. So if it's golf, when you're talking about even discipline on what club that you pick because you know that this is the right thing to do, or discipline in keeping your cool because if you lose your cool, your game's going to go south.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just really important. It's really about that's where those other things, meditation and just calming your mind really comes into play. I'm one of the most patient people in the world. When it comes to my kids, when it comes to clients, it's like I don't expect you to go from 0 to 60 overnight. So
Mm-hmm.
when I'm working with somebody, I'm going to be asking them questions. So how was your nutrition this week? Oh, what'd you have for dinner last night? Oh, did you get in the gym earlier in the week? Little things like that. What did you do this weekend? Did you do any cardio? Did you get on a walk? And it's just kind of instilling those little things and just like kind of dropping those little seeds
Mm-hmm.
that, over time will start to take, fruition and grow in people. And I think, of course, you know, if you're talking about discipline, it's something that is innate inside you, right? Because it's not always easy to really be disciplined. But again, if it means that much to you, you have to kind of reassess and say, I'm willing to put in that effort and to stay disciplined because it's that important. And for me, that's just how I am. I'm like, I look at the end game a lot of times when it comes to let's say going on a vacation or getting ready for a photo shoot, something that I would do. But let's say for the average person, getting ready for something, it's
Hmm.
always good to have a goal, and that helps drive the discipline. So you can always, it's something that you can measure with. Am I getting closer to that goal? Is this what I am going to do right now? Is this going to take me farther away, or is this kind of just going to keep me here? So I think that, you have to make that goal strong enough to where those things matter to like make you want to be disciplined. And
Hmm.
over time, it just becomes a part of who you are. And you're going to be a better person for it if you are disciplined. You find that in your life, because I think it brings meaning to your life.
That's a good point. I feel like goals are like I talk about in my latest book all about tournament golf. Like sign up for a tournament so that way you have something on the calendar, you're going to prepare for it. If you don't have anything, it's kind of hard to like practice as much. You don't really have something driving you. Same thing with a beach vacation, a photo shoot, whatever it is, like you have something to kind of look forward to. So I feel like people can hopefully hear that, start setting some goals. I think I talk about goals in golf every year, every quarter, but I think like you said, off the course, that can be really helpful too. But I know there's people that are hearing you and they're like, well, Greg, I'm not going to be a male model. I'm not going to be on Men's Health. I've always been this way. How do you tackle those like first kind of people that are like, maybe they've fallen off the wagon. Maybe they're a football stud in high school. They're just, let's look at the obesity rates. I mean, it's not good, right? We're living longer, but it's not a high quality of life. Golfers are getting injured. People aren't living a high quality life. And so what would you say to those people maybe as just a mindset shift of like, hey, you can improve? Is it just goal setting or is it something else?
Yeah, I think, one of the things, like I said, I don't push too hard in the very beginning, and you take it in stages, right? So let's just talk about getting fit and healthy, or from a nutrition standpoint, got to start somewhere, right? So I think that's the key. It's like, I'm not going to get too hard on people. I think just when if we talk about fitness, working with somebody, getting them to where they're starting to feel better, getting them to where they're being consistent, getting them to where they're not just doing it with me. Now they're wanting to come in
Mm-hmm.
on their own. I mean, a perfect example of that is a woman that I've just been working with now for just a few months. And she hates training. She hates working out. And all of a sudden it was like at the end of the workout, she'll say, that was fun. That was really cool, And then what now I get like, that was awesome. And then, I find that she'll come to the gym on her own. And so that's like what I'm saying is not pushing too hard,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of taking that first step. And that kind of drives you into, hey, you know what? I am feeling good. I'm getting results. And therefore, I want a little bit more of this. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the key. Granted, not everybody's personality works that way. Some people are like all or nothing.
Sure.
So, there you can get burned out really quickly. But I
Yeah.
think kind of the way I like to tackle things is like from a nutrition standpoint, it might be, I like to have my wine every night, for example. I say, okay, well, how do we cut that in half? Do we just say drink a little bit less each night? Or do we say just drink 4 nights a week instead of seven? And then it's like, okay, so I'm drinking less. I'm starting to find that I'm feeling better already. And then that could potentially get to where it's like, okay, occasionally I'm going to have a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Or from a standpoint of like nutrition, eating, let's say I have pizza every Friday night. I have, at least 6 slices of pizza. Okay, well, how do we cut that in half? Do we do, just pull it back to three? And you realize, man, I lost 4 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then it sort of like builds on itself. And that's a really great way to kind of work your way into something where instead of having that all or nothing attitude, is just take it one step at a time. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
really good approach with, again, having a goal in mind. Your goal could be this week. It doesn't have to be 3 months from now or longer. It could be this week. I'm going to try to clean up my diet. This week, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to have a protein shake in the morning. I'm going to have my coffee, protein shake, and I'm not going to eat again until, lunchtime. Let's say 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I'm going to have a salad with, just olive oil on the salad, and I'm going to have an apple, and then I'm going to have a sensible dinner. Like something simple as that, where you're like, look, I'm not starving myself. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not, it's so difficult on myself. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but at the end of the week, you go, you know what? I feel freaking amazing right now. And then that just kind of builds on itself. And I go through that stuff too. I've been doing this my whole life. And when it's hard, creating change is really difficult. It sucks, but after about 4 days, you start to get used to it. And, it's like, okay, I'm glad I did this and I'm feeling better and I'm a
Hmm.
better person for it. And you're a stronger person, from your character standpoint. And once you do it once, you can recreate it and do it again. So that's a big factor, even if you do fall off the wagon, you're like,
Hmm.
I did this before. I'm not talking about in high school when you're the football star. I'm talking about now because I hear that often. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
high school. I'm like, yeah, but dude, you're 45 years old. Like high school's a long time ago,
Sure.
you're a person completely. So yeah, I think, it's, baby steps, taking it one
Hmm.
day at a time,
I think it's also kind of funny that we even went this direction because the same thing, I work with a lot of players for mental golf coaching, and a lot of them getting better is setting good goals, is addressing their mindset, is saying, hey, we have been good before, maybe we're going through a slump. But it sounds like there's just so much parallels between golf and the health side of things that I don't think a lot of people maybe even recognize, and that's obviously why I wanted to bring you on. And I think the first part of that, to me, we have the working out, we have the cardio, we have the nutrition, we have the supplementation. There's the kind of the four pillars. Let's get into the working out side of things, because obviously I'm sure you're probably the most versed guest we've had on working out here and the different routines we can do. So for people who just want to look, feel, and perform better, what do you think are the best types of workouts that, I would say the everyday person, maybe they play golf a couple times a week, they got a family, they got a job. What should they be doing? Is it once a week, twice a week? Is it, we used to do those splits of chest and try. Is it full body? Like where's Gregg's take on the working out side of things in 2025?
Yeah, it's like I think the first thing you have to say is, what am I willing to do? Like, do I want to get into gym twice a week, 3 times a week? I'd say, if you could do it 3 times a week. And I say in the gym because I feel like if you go to the gym, you're going to be a lot more focused than trying to do it at home,
Mm,
And I know COVID brought a lot of people like doing things at home, but if you go to a gym and you think, okay, I don't have the time for this, but if your workouts are, let's say 40 minutes long, you literally can almost like go to the gym, get your workout and get home in an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes. And if you could do that 3 days a week, I would be really happy.
mm,
So let's just say that's our baseline, 3 days a week. You get to the gym, you think about full body because if you're doing 3 days a week, you probably need to do full body. The other option is to do like a high, low, high. So you could do like upper body, lower body type deal. And
mm,
you decide in the beginning, this week I'm going to do two upper and one lower. Next week I'm going to do two lower and one upper. You can mix it up, but I think it's really having that plan. And I just did a video about that. I haven't posted it yet, but it's about visualization. Like on your way, you're going to the gym. Don't just walk in the gym. Like visualize when you walk in the gym. And this is big for golf, right?
mm,
The visualization is huge. Same thing when you're with anything in life. I think you're going to be a lot more prepared when you get to a meeting with somebody, or if you're coming home and your dog is going to attack you, and you could either like push the dog aside and like, yeah, I can't, or you can have already replayed this in your mind in the car. Same thing with your kids, and you can embrace them rather than be like, listen, I just need a minute, that kind of thing. But it's the same thing when you're heading to the gym. It's like, okay, how do I want this workout to look like? What am I
mm,
training today? Okay, if I'm going to do chest, shoulders, back, arms, I'm doing upper body. Okay, let's see. If I start with chest, I could do this and this. And, you pick, let's say, 2 exercises per body part, do 3 sets per exercise. Don't go crazy heavy, stay safe, get in there, put your headphones in and just go for it and say, I'm going to keep my rest times really short. There's a cardio aspect to that. And I'm going to get this workout done in 40 minutes. And I'm going to, I can get my head wrapped around that. So I would say baseline, 3 days a week.
mm,
2 days a week is okay, but 3 days is where you're going to get some really good results. And then if
mm,
I was doing 3 days a week again, I would probably do full body with an emphasis. So I'd say like, okay, I'm doing upper, but I'm going to do a little bit of legs. So, if I'm doing full body 3 days a week, I know I'm
mm,
going to So I'm going to go in on, let's say Monday, I'm going to focus mostly on upper body. I'll do like some isolations for legs, maybe extensions, curls, calves. Okay, that's it. Simple. Wednesday, I'm coming in, I'm going to start with legs and I'm going to finish with upper body. So I'm emphasizing my lower body.
Mm,
That's where you throw in more of like, Bulgarian split squats with us, squats with dumbbells. You're doing potentially squats if you're at that level, but I wouldn't suggest it. Do
mm-hmm.
some of those isolations, adductor for glutes. That's super important. And then you're doing some core strength, and then you go into the upper body. But don't overthink it, like just go in, have fun. But on your way to the gym, you're thinking about some of these things. And I know I'm throwing a lot at your listeners right now, especially if they don't go to the gym. But it really is way simpler than I'm making it sound right now. It's 3 days a week would be a baseline. And then just focus on those. I don't want to call it a split, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
upper, lower, upper, or full. Go in there with
Mm-hmm.
full, emphasizing certain things that you want, that you feel like, I'm lagging on this. And like we talk about, for instance, bench press. It's like, how does that translate to what I'm trying to do? It might not, but bench press is a good thing because aesthetically, you do want to build your chest. I mean, it's important. It's also hitting triceps, it's hitting
Mm-hmm.
shoulders. So there's a lot of value in doing a bench press. And you want to work the front part of your body, you want to work the posterior chain. So everything is important, in my eyes, aesthetically as well as just from a physical standpoint. And then if you were to do, let's say, a 4 day or a 5 or even a 6 day split, depends on how much you get into it, then that's when we get into those body splits that you're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. There's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, no, I was
my,
gonna,
my
yeah, because like I used to do that in college when I was working out 6, 7 days a week, and we were following the
yeah,
men's health stuff, and
yeah.
it was good. But I started doing that, lately, or maybe like last year, and I was doing like the F45s and the Orange Theories, and I liked it, but I was not seeing any results, and that's why I was like, we got to get back to progressive overload, we got to get back to adding some weight, slowing it down, doing the full body, and that's actually when I started to see the biggest impact on my golf game and on my metabolism, like my physique, everything changed when I started to kind of get away from the, basically cardio. I mean, like the F45s, they're fun, but for me, I just didn't feel like it was working. Is that kind of what you would recommend then, is people to not be afraid of lifting heavy?
Yeah, I mean,
Safely, of course.
safely, yeah. I think like F45 is great. I think that, there's a nice learning curve there. You're going to sweat a lot. Some people think that, sweating a lot means you're getting results. You're burning a lot of calories, but if you're burning calories, you're hungry and then you're eating more. So it's like it doesn't take much to eat, to eat 600 calories, and it just took you that whole workout to barely burn 600 calories,
Right, right.
you're, I don't know, I feel like it's diminishing returns in a way.
Hmm.
What you're talking about, something more that I would do, and then I would say, if you want to do F45, throw that in on top of it, on
Hmm.
top of the training. Again, we come back to a time thing. You might not have the time to do that. One of my favorite splits of all time, 3 day split, and it would be chest, shoulders, back, arms, and legs. Now that's a great split. Let's say if you just want to do 3 days, but the beauty of that is you can turn that into 4, 5, or 6 days of training, and all you do is just keep rotating it. Chest,
Hmm.
shoulders, back, arms, legs. And so day one, you go in, it's chest and shoulders. That way you're doing two body parts. You throw, of course, a little bit of core in there because that's always important,
Hmm.
for back health and just having a strong core, super important. So you do chest and shoulders and a little core in between those movements. And that way, you could literally get your workout done in 30 minutes. And
Hmm.
then day two, let's say you go on Wednesday, you do back and bis and tris, back and arms. And again, you can, because you're limiting what you're doing in the gym, you can really focus on that. And you could really challenge yourself with those movements. So, like you're saying, lifting weight, we're talking about hypertrophy, building muscle. For every pound of muscle that you put on, your metabolic, just burning, sitting on the couch is elevated by 50 to 75 calories, doing nothing, sitting
Hmm.
on basal metabolic rate, sitting on the couch. So you're building a fat burning machine just by getting in the gym and lifting weights, not even doing cardio. And that's not to say cardio isn't important. I'm just saying you're building a fat burning machine. So then you have day three, legs. And legs, of course, are so important because it's half your body. And
Most guys need to hear this, Greg.
yes, yes. And that's where in golf, where all your power is coming from
Mhm.
is your glutes and your hamstrings, posterior chain, where that's where you're getting the RPMs in your swing. And, so a lot of it comes from that lower body. So those three, that 3 day split would be my biggest recommendation. So I'm going to take notes right now: chest, shoulders, back, arms, legs. The beauty of it is that you could go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, chest, shoulders, back, arms, legs. And you're like, Thursday, I'm taking off. And then Friday, you're like, I think I'm going to go to the gym. You start with chest, shoulders again. And then Saturday, you're like, you know what? It's only 30 minutes. I'm going to go and do some back and arms.
Mhm.
And then Monday, you go back and you're like, okay, it's leg day. Because, just keep rotating. And that's exactly what I do now. That's what
Mhm.
I've been doing for many, many years. Of course, I'm working out 6 days a week. And the fact that I'm in the gym every single day, I'm still doing stuff when I'm not working out because I'm
Mhm.
always playing or doing something. But I do 6 days a week, and that's my rotation. That's what I do. And that's what I highly recommend. And that'll allow you to, again, really challenge yourself on what you're doing, lift, weight that really is going to build muscle, and then pull back on the total number of sets that you have to do because you're only doing, a couple body parts in a
Mhm.
workout. I think people could get their heads wrapped around that.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like 3 days a week is good too, because then they can do some golf specific workouts on those other days. They can do some flexibility, mobility, speed training. And it's still like you're not dedicating your whole life to the gym. I know people have jobs and families and stuff. So I feel like the whole thing that I've heard is make it realistic, figure out your personality type, if you're an all in or if you're a slow and steady. So I think you've given us some good stuff there. Before getting into the cardio, because this is something I'm really interested in, what do you think are some of the most common fitness mistakes in the gym that guys or girls make that are just like, ugh, I really feel like if we just didn't do one or two of these things, it's really going to kind of help some of those gains?
Yeah, I think, of course, focusing on form, making sure that you're doing the stuff that, the exercise that you're picking, that really focus on those and getting the form, right. So that's a big thing. I see a lot of people doing form where I just kind of have to turn the other way. I mean, it's been really hard because I used to work, I managed a gym for many years, and it was a private facility, so I controlled the environment.
Mm,
And I was lucky enough. I was managing the Rocks, Dwayne the Rock Johnson. I managed his gym for a number of years.
no way.
Yeah, in South Florida. And so it was a private facility, and it was awesome. And you're working around some of these amazing people there, and everything is very controlled. Then I move out here to Colorado, and it's just like, what are these people doing? And I try to hold my tongue, but it's really
Yeah.
difficult. So I think that's a big thing, is like making sure that the form is right. Don't overdo it either. You don't have to do a ton of different exercises, limit what you're doing, focus on what you're doing, and
Hmm.
ask yourself, why am I doing this? If you're doing legs, for instance, somebody is doing, let's say, a curtsy lunge or a curtsy squat. It's like, why are you doing that right now? Wouldn't you be better off doing a basic squat and really
Sure.
focus on, I'm working leg sweep, the outer part of the leg. I'm working, the medialis, inside part of the leg. I'm working the adductors. I'm working a glute. I'm doing a Bulgarian split squat because I want more forward power. Um, Ask yourself, why am I doing this? That's one of the big mistakes that I see people doing.
Mm.
I want to walk up to them and say, why are you doing it right now? Like, well, it looks cool, but what's the reason here,
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big one. It's like
Hmm.
maintaining proper form, limit the number of exercises you're doing. You don't need all this stuff, to get great results. Go to the kind of the basics, and ask yourself that question. What am I
Yeah.
trying to do here? If I'm working shoulders, what am I doing? I want shoulder mobility, so I might start with some simple band work. And then, I want to really shape out my shoulders. I want my shoulders to look like shapely, and I want to hit front, medial, rear. Like, what am I trying to
Hmm.
accomplish? I think those are some of the biggest things, is like, that's going to help you hone in. And like when I talk about going in the gym for 30 minutes, it's like, keep your rest time short, get in there, have a vision, know what you're doing, have good form, and you're going to be able to get in and get out in 30 minutes and start to see some really great results in a really short period of time.
Love it. A lot of great stuff for the gym. Let's not skip cardio. I watched some of your YouTube videos. You were talking about how you walk 3 to 7 miles a day. I don't know if you're still doing that in the snow. If you are, you're my hero. But why is walking like such an underrated cardio? I feel like the more I've been on a 10,000 step a day since 2022, just kind of as a challenge. And I just realized I like being outside. It makes me feel better. It helps on the golf course. But why is walking so superior sometimes to like running or other forms of cardio?
Yeah, I mean, the obvious thing is wear and tear in your body. That's the
Hmm.
obvious thing, right? Some people like to run, but there creates a lot of wear and tear on your back, on your joints, knees, and all that. If you have back issues, that's going to translate into your neck and imbalances. So, you know, I think that, walking for me, to it's like I'll walk and I don't do it for fitness necessarily. I
Okay.
go out there because it's so good for your mind. It's so inspirational when you're walking. You'd be amazed at what kind of ideas come into your mind. And it's almost like you're leaving a trail of the stuff you don't need behind you. And it's so inspiring, especially if you're out walking in nature and you think everything that I see, I'm not going to judge it. I'm just going to be grateful for it, no matter what I see, no matter what I feel. And that's really the beginning of like having a healthy walking lifestyle, is getting out and you get to the point where you're like, I have to walk,
Hmm.
I have to be out, I have to walk. I don't feel right unless I get out and I walk. It doesn't have to be, 5, 6 miles. It could be a mile in the beginning and then work your way up to 2 and 3 miles is a great way to get that fitness that you are looking for. Not necessarily is it like you're going to get your heart rate way up, but still, it's, when you're moving, it's movement. It's just being out in nature. It's putting
Hmm.
the phone down. Don't even bring your phone with you. It's taking a break from all that stuff. And all of that is so important, and it's important for your soul. But I think that, people underestimate the benefits of walking.
Hmm.
Aside from the mental aspect of it, you will get in better shape from walking. I mean, you'll find if you're walking the course, you're going to find that, that aspect is going to be kind of like taken out of the equation. If that's what's making you tired, making your back nine,
Hmm.
you're starting to like wane on that back nine because you're losing your focus because you're just feeling like, man, this is a struggle. I think that, walking is really going to help you in that regard. And like I said, if you don't walk currently, start with a mile, work your way up. I think 3 miles is a really good gauge to go for. Thinking about your steps, 12,000 steps is a challenge. When you hit that 12,
Do you see the averages? It's crazy. People are like 4 or 5 thousand. I'm like, I feel like not a good version of myself if I only get 4 or 5 thousand. It's wild.
yeah, yeah. And out here, just from my house here, because I live in the mountains now, I mean, we're talking about 1,000 foot gain in a
Hmm.
3 mile walk, and it's another level, man. And then
Yeah.
you're talking, we're like at 9,000 feet, so the air's pretty thin,
Hmm.
and that's a whole nother thing. You're walking, 3 to 6 miles out here. It's another animal altogether. But yes, I do walk in the snow. I walk in the summer. It's actually, believe it or not, easier to walk in the snow than it is to walk in the summer when it's really stifling hot. But yeah, I think that, there's so much more benefit that people give credit for. And I'm not talking about, oh yeah, park further in the parking lot and walk to the store. And it's no, make it
Hmm.
a thing where you say, okay, I am going to walk now, and take that time and let's say 45 minutes, get out and take a nice walk, man. If you want to go out with your girlfriend, your wife, your whatever, I like doing it by myself because again, the thoughts that come into your mind, and it's so inspirational, and you can really work out a lot of things in your mind. And we don't take enough time in our day normally to do that, like to quiet our minds, to just breathe and meditate and just sit down for a few minutes. We don't do that. So at least if you're actively walking, you are doing that in a way that is kind of like that's secondary to the walking in itself. The
Hmm.
fact that you are doing something is so good for your body and your soul and your mind. I think it's a great 1-2 punch. So the value is just off the charts. I would highly
Yeah.
recommend everyone do it.
You brought a lot of good points up too with just being in nature, gratitude. The first lesson in my first book is have an attitude of gratitude. You're lucky to have money to play golf, to have the health, to have the time, and I've been guilty of this. You're playing so much and you take things for granted. Like life has this way of you get comfortable, right? And you get complacent. You're just kind of like, oh, things are always this way. But when you do kind of step outside and have that gratitude, it can really reshape you. And it's a big theme on this show and in the book. So I'm glad you brought that up. The one part of cardio that men's health and muscle chow, I feel like you've talked about too, is interval though. So that's something you can do, I guess, outside. Is that something you still do? Recommend? Like, how can interval for those people that maybe do like to run instead of like hurting the joints or doing the long runs? What can interval training do that walking or other forms can't do?
Well, interval, what's nice is it gets you lean. So if you ever look at like a long distance runner versus like a sprinter, sprinters are buffed, man, because they're
Mm-hmm.
maintaining their muscle mass. So they're not like being in a catabolic state, they can stay in an anabolic state and still they're getting that cardiovascular, benefit. So that's where, interval training comes in, where you can really kind of like go all out. And if let's say you're outside, and you have like light posts or markers where you can, you know, if I don't want to say sprint, but you can run faster to,
Mm-hmm.
from one light pole to the next and then just jog it or walk it from the next one. So you could do kind of intervals like that. If you're on a treadmill, you could do 30 minutes of like a sprint and then a minute recovery. If you're on an elliptical, you could do the same thing. If you do
So sorry, just to clarify, you said like 1 or 30 seconds walk, 1 minute. Like what's the ratio? Let's say we're gonna do 20-minute interval. You're warmed up, you're feeling good. What do you recommend for like timing? Is there any incline?
Well, I would say like it depends on like, if you're thinking like, hey man, I want to get that core, I
Mm-hmm.
tend to go a little bit more on the flat side rather
Okay.
than incline, because you get the bigger strides, you're pulling from low abs and you can really focus on your core. You get the arms pumping, so you're really feeling your core activate. So if you're on a straightaway, that's really good. If you want to
Mm-hmm.
take it into the glutes and you're really going to get that heart rate, you could do an incline. I would say 30 seconds to a minute recovery is, something that's a pretty basic and
Mm-hmm.
easy to do formula. And do that until you hit about that 20-minute mark, if you make it that far,
I was gonna say that's a long time, but
it's
yeah,
a long
it's
time. Yeah. But yeah, I think like that 30 to 1 is a nice little ratio where it's like I
mm-hmm.
can get my mind wrapped around that. I got plenty of time to recover. If I'm watching my heart rate, I can bring that heart rate down to, something that makes more sense for myself,
Mm-hmm.
depending on your age and where your heart rate. I mean, I was training somebody and her heart rate was like 153. I'm like, I couldn't get my heart rate to 153 if I'm on a sprint.
Right.
So everybody's going to be different,
Mm-hmm.
but you want to get into that heart rate, as a minute gives you plenty of time to get back. And
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the standard for like knowing how physically fit you are. If you can get your heart rate back into that 120s within a minute, that shows like good cardiovascular health. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a nice little ratio to do. That I think that whether you're on a treadmill or if you're outside, again, you could do markers outside rather than, if you're running in a field, that's always good, or running on a track. You
Mm-hmm.
can always, sprint the straightaways and then walk the corners. There's little things that you can do where you don't have to overthink it. You're not looking at your watch and all that,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of takes you out of that moment. Um, and then you could do something like a step mill, the
Mm-hmm.
oscillating stairs, and you could do a program.
Those are the devil, by the way.
Brutal, brutal. That'll tell you how good a shape you're in. And what I love about that is it's very measurable,
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell people like most of those step mills will have fat burner mode, right? Fat burner mode, 20 minutes, start at level 7 and be prepared to die. And you just do fat burner mode. That's like most of those have that. So
uh,
fat burner mode, 20 minutes, level 7. If you can't do that, you could drop down a level. But the goal would be once that becomes easier for you to work your way up to level 8, 9, and 10 is kind of like where you that would be the goal over the
mm-hmm.
course of maybe a couple weeks or even a month or maybe longer, depending on where you're at. But that is a great way, man. It's like it's super measurable and it'll get you in shape in just 20 minutes. So that's great if your gym has
20
that.
minutes is like 2 hours on that thing, by the way. You're a beast.
Brutal. It's brutal. I mean, your mind the whole time is thinking, should I stop? Should I stop? Hold on. It's the whole time you're dying. But that's why, you start at something that's manageable and then once you bump it up from level
Hmm.
7, you go to level 8, and then it happens all over again. Should I
Hmm.
stop? So, and then where it's like, okay, I could do level 8. And then that's again that progressive overload, you were talking about earlier.
Hmm.
On cardio, in a way, that's your progressive overload there. And again, it's very measurable, which is nice. And in the gym, of course, with the weight that you're using, progressive overload without getting out of control.
Hmm.
You still want to have a manageable weight. But yeah, and that's another thing when you're bringing up interval training. Let's say you're pressed on time. What if you put the timer on and you're doing a workout? And I do this all the time. I do 30 seconds of work, 15-second break.
Like Tabata
I
style.
might, yeah, and I might do like 6 different exercises. So let's say if I was doing chest and shoulders, I might go bench press, fly, push up. Those are 3 movements.
Hmm.
And I would go lateral fly, rear delt fly, band high pulls, let's just say, right? And I'm going 30 seconds on each one, 30 seconds of bench, 15-second break, flies, 15-second break, push-ups, 15-second break, lateral fly, 15-second break, rear delt machine, 15-second break, band high pull. So that in a way is cardio in itself. So
Mm.
let's say you're pressed for like, I just don't have time to do all. Let's say those 3 workouts a week include that interval training in a weightlifting fashion. And the
Hmm.
key with that, that 15-second break, you will condition yourself to recover in 15 seconds. Okay. So you can still lift a weight that is challenging and over a very short period of time. Nobody can train with you because you create such a conditioning for yourself that
Hmm.
you're able to, let's say, I'm still picking up 65-pound dumbbells, pressing 65s in that 30 seconds, putting it down, going to my flies with 30-pound dumbbells. Like, this is not lightweight. We're
Hmm.
not talking little weight. We're talking weight that's a challenge. And yet I'm like, boom, 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 boom. You train like that and you're getting the best of both worlds, your body will change in a
Hmm.
very short period of time. Yeah.
All right, we got to talk about body change, and I know nutrition's coming here. So there's nobody that knows nutrition. We got Muscle Chow, and we got the 14-day Get Lean diet. Nothing this guy can't do. I guess first question I got to ask: what's the percentage of you hit your goals for fitness? What's the percentage of the fitness and working out versus the nutrition?
Yeah. The fitness is the easy part. We all know that. Come on.
I
Like,
just want to hear your percentage so people can be like, this guy knows. He's been on
okay.
Men's Health covers for a reason.
Yeah, I think if I'm going to be bold and say 80% is nutrition.
Okay.
Okay, 80%, 20% is the other stuff.
Hmm.
That's the easy stuff. Doing the workouts, easy. The hard stuff is, let's face it, we talk about 30-minute workouts or being in the gym for, an hour, let's just say. The other 23 hours
Hmm.
of all the emotions, all of the boredom, the celebrations, the sadness, whatever it is. It's like every reason in the book to eat, you
Yep.
know, and so, you're bored and you're like combing through the cabinets. You're watching a movie and you're like, I can't just sit and, like I gotta eat some like that's the hardest thing is
Hmm.
like having control over what you eat. So yes, it's 80% of it all is like getting serious about the nutrition. And I think you and I talked about this earlier, simplicity. It's
Hmm.
like, you don't have to get complicated with it. Keep it simple. And if you keep it simple, you're going to be very successful.
All right. Well, that's where a lot of people I think overcomplicate it, and that's where for me, like when I'm a little off track right now. I've had some family stuff. We lost our pet. Just life has been like upside down, and I'm ready to get back. And I know this interview will be the catalyst to make the positive change. And I always feel like once I start tracking it, once I start going on MyFitPal, it just you become aware of it a little bit more. So do you recommend people tracking food or intuitive eating, or what's kind of your strategy for people that maybe haven't ever done it before? Because it feels like a pain in the ass at first, but then you start to see it and you kind of know what you eat.
Yeah, like what you're saying. Once you do it, then you don't really have to do it because you kind of know, okay, yeah, this is kind of where I'm at. When if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing MyFitnessPal or those things, I feel like it's the beginning of the end. If you do that for a lot of people, it's just holding on too tight and
Mm-hmm.
it makes it too complicated. And they're like, is just too much. So I think intuitive eating is really a great way to be. Where you're just like, look, man, I know what's good, I know what's bad, I know what I need to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think a really great way to start a nutrition plan and really stick to it is to just say, this is what I'm eating in the day. This is, so let me give you
So
an
having
example.
it mapped out the night before.
Not the night before. This is what I eat every day.
Mm.
This is the 6 things I'm doing
Right.
this for the next 2 weeks, And so let's just say, as an example, I'll wake up, I'm going to drink, water. So, I'm going to wake up, it's in the bathroom, I'm taking a shower, I'm getting ready, shaving. I'm going to have about 16, 20 ounces of water. Okay, that doesn't even count, but you just want to get everything kind of
Mm-hmm.
moving, right? So then I'm going to have coffee. I'm a coffee drinker. I love my coffee. I'm not telling people not to drink coffee, right? Have your coffee. Then I'm going to do a protein shake mixed with 3/4 water and a quarter almond milk. I'll put flax seeds. I'll put about 2 tablespoons of raw oats. I'll do a scoop of protein and some collagen in there. Shake it up, and that's what I'm drinking on the way to work to the
Mm-hmm.
gym. So now you've had coffee, you've had that protein shake. I'm not going to eat again probably till 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So I
Wow.
don't have to think. I'm
Okay.
not even thinking. I don't have to think about it. Now I come home, I'll probably, if I'm really hungry, I'll have an apple and maybe a yogurt, a plain Greek yogurt. Because, if you just have an apple, you're talking just carbs. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to get too deep in the woods with like protein to carb ratios and things like that. But your cornerstone is always protein,
Mm-hmm.
right? So protein opens up the door to the carb.
So
So
pretty much like a gram per body weight. Is that kind of what you recommend?
probably too much, I would say. I would say like pull it back. That's kind of like what everybody talks about. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's a point 0.8 or do one or I just feel like look, man, you know what? Get 70 to 100 grams, see where you're at. Don't get crazy over it, okay? Because if you're getting 1 gram per pound of body weight, that's a lot of food.
Mm-hmm.
Say a guy that's weighing 200 pounds, that's a lot of food.
It's a
Now
lot.
we're
Yeah.
now we're getting out of what I'm talking about here.
Okay.
I'm talking about having a protein shake in the morning. That's about 30 grams of protein. You're not eating again until 2 o'clock. It might be tough on the first couple days, but you get used to it. And I'm not saying make this a habit through your whole life. I'm just saying if you want to make a change, this is a
Mm-hmm.
great way to break the ice is to just be simple. Okay. So this is what I'm saying is where you're saying, I'm just going to have these things each day for the next two
Okay.
weeks.
Got it.
So protein shake, just like I was talking about, then you don't eat again until about 2 o'clock. You're going to have a salad with a protein on it, like chicken, can of tuna, fish, lean ground beef, lean ground turkey, whatever you want. Okay, so that's your salad. Olive oil and maybe some balsamic vinegar, but no other dressing. Keep it simple, okay? But make a good salad. Something that's going to be like, man, I'm looking forward to this salad. Make your salad. So that's like 2 to 3 in the afternoon. If you came home and you're starving and you want to have that apple with a yogurt, that's fine too. If you didn't and you had the salad, you might have a lull and you want that yogurt and apple later,
Mm-hmm.
like 4 o'clock. Okay, starting to get hungry. Okay, I'm going to have a Greek yogurt plain and an apple. That gives you your protein with a little bit of carb. And then you're going to have a sensible dinner. And then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Then if you're hungry, have some hot tea that'll kind of curb that appetite. and chill out until it's time to go to bed and do that for 2 weeks or 10 days or whatever. Some people
So
be
this
like,
is more like you recommend for people that are starting. Like this isn't what you're saying to do every day for the rest of your life. Because I know most people are
yeah,
going to be like, Greg, I'm hungry.
there's no way. Right.
Okay. So this
No
is like a
way.
reset kind of thing.
Yeah, this is a way to like break the ice. And look, you're
Okay.
not going to starve to death. People are going to be like, oh, I'm going to be in a cat. I'm going to lose muscle. Like, stop. Just
Okay.
stop. Like you'd be surprised at how much that I don't eat
Mhm.
and how much I don't eat and how like I don't get that 200 grams of protein a day, and I maintain muscle. I mean,
There it
maintaining
is. We needed
muscle.
something for the thumbnail. That's perfect.
Right. And so, I think that, you don't have to overthink it,
Okay.
keep it simple, simple, simple. And if you can do this, even if you just give me 5 days and then on the weekend you have like a little cheat
Hmm.
and then just jump right back in and then do another 5 days, I'm being diplomatic there, right? It's
Okay.
like, chill
Yep.
out, like don't get nuts over the weekend,
Hmm.
but relax a little bit on the weekend and then start Monday through Friday
Yeah.
again. And then relax on the weekend and see where you're at. You're going to be amazed
Hmm.
at how not only how you look and feel, it's like you'll change overnight, and you'll realize that, what, I don't need to eat all that food. Like a lot of it is emotional, like you were saying, unfortunately, and I know, man, it's the hardest thing is to lose a pet,
Mm.
but emotionally, I totally get it. But that's a perfect example.
Yeah.
You kind of like, okay, I just need to, get over this. And so, when we talk about emotions, a big one is boredom,
Hmm.
and we talk about celebrations and all those things. So, you have to take that into account, of course, but you also have to kind of like say, okay, I embrace that. I understand that. I know I'm like, let's just talk about boredom. I need something. Do you really need, are you really hungry? Or are you just bored? Like, do you need to really, you feel like you just have to eat, have like a fizzy water at that point,
Hmm.
So, like the fizzy water, have whatever, what are some of the fizzy waters,
Like the
like,
carbonated ones, you mean?
yeah, like some of the flavored waters that,
Hmm.
so have one of those. That'll kind of curb that appetite. And you start to learn, like, I don't really need this. You get past a couple of those. Last night I had it. Last night it happened to me. I was like, it was 9 o'clock and I was like, I want something, man. I mean, I'm even willing to go up there and just eat a can of plain tuna. You can
You're a
do it.
machine, Greg.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, would a a cup of cereal, like a bowl of cereal, would that be, hell yeah, that'd be great. But I didn't do any of that. And I woke up this morning and I was like, man,
Hmm.
I was a better person this morning because I didn't do that last night. And that you'll find that those are little wins along the way, that where you're going to make massive strides. But, you have to think like, I am going to better myself, just by, adhering to something like this, keeping it really, really simple. And that's what I'm
Hmm.
saying. I'm not planning out my day. This is what I do.
Hmm.
I have these 6 things that I'm doing throughout the day. That's it. I don't
Hmm.
have to think about it. I have my protein shake in the morning. I know I'm not going to eat again until 2 in the afternoon.
You know
That's
what?
it.
You remind me of like the billionaires that wear the same shirt every day. It's like they just minimize their decisions. It's like a good thing. It's like I think, like you said, we have so much information. We make everything so hard. Whether it's a golf swing, fitness, working out. There's just information overload. We're on our phones all day. It's like you can find anything on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. I love how you just constantly go back to simplicity, doing the
Yes.
same thing, and it just feels like that's something I think everybody can get because everyone else is making it harder and Greg's making it easier. Is that kind of like you feel like simplicity is one of the big pillars? It sounds like.
It's huge because even in the gym, let's just use that. People trying to get, what's the next thing, or they're seeing people doing these crazy movements and things.
Hmm.
It's like, just go to the basics. What are we trying to accomplish?
Hmm.
Again, why are you doing this move? Why are you, you know, doing some crazy move? I don't know, balancing on a ball. Why
The,
are
the
you doing,
problem is like a lot of pro golfers will post their stuff and then the everyday person's like, oh, I saw Rory doing that, so I got to do that. And everyone, I've had a,
yeah,
a couple of fitness coaches on, they're like, you're not Rory, you're not Scotty Scheffler, just do the basics.
yeah. And also they have to post content. You
Right.
get creative. So they're going to show some of those crazy things because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is cool. It'll look cool if we.
Mm,
That's not to say he doesn't consistently do it, but like you're saying, he's on another level, man. I
yeah.
mean, he's doing it for a reason that you don't even know. He could
Mhm,
have once in one of his hips or something. They're trying to
mhm,
straighten it out. Even putting a band on one leg and then doing something with that to open up his hips or whatever it may be. You
mhm,
don't know why that he's doing that. Just start with the basics. That's what I'm saying. When you're in the gym, just pick, a small amount of exercises, like for chest, let's say, I'm just going to take two things for chest, two exercises for chest, two exercises for shoulders. I'm going to run it 6 sets of each of those exercises, and that's my 30 minutes or whatever it is. Like keep it super simple. And
mhm.
then you don't have to do those same two exercises every time you go in the gym. You could
Yeah.
do another two or another three, whatever. But again, simplicity is the key. We overthink too much,
Mhm,
and I think, even, like let's say with golf, it's like, is it getting the next club? Like I saw this new club. What about just getting out there and playing and working on your swing or working on, if you're in the gym, we're thinking about, okay, rotational movements.
mhm,
I want to do something that's going to strengthen this and how that's going to affect me out there. And I'm going to use that club. I'm going to master that club. And when I've earned the right to get that next club, I will, but I want to master this first, whatever that may be for yourself. But that again, like you're saying right now, the simplicity of it.
mhm.
This, it's the same thing with getting out and walking. It's the same thing with your nutrition. It's the same with your fitness. It's just like don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it.
Mhm.
Just live your life in a really simple way. You're going to find you're going to be a lot happier. You're going to be able to focus on other things. You're going to be able to actually maybe enjoy your life a little bit more. Do the things that you think that you don't have time for because
Mhm.
it's gotten simple. I think it's huge.
I love it. Well, the last thing I wanted to pick your brain about is the supplements. I know you got a new supplement line out, and that's kind of the last piece. I've definitely experimented with different supplements, and again, I've probably overcomplicated it. So, what's Gregg's take on supplements, and what's the new product you have with Avedon?
Yeah, I mean, I've taken everything, over the years. I've gotten out of control where I've like, you know, you'll go in the, oh wow, this looks good. This is, so I've done it all. Imagine all these years doing this.
Hmm.
So I've had it where I've been taking 25 pills, vitamins a day to, now I literally I take, I say a small handful. I probably take like four things right now. I keep it really, really simple. Supplementation, it's hard because it's like it is individual. I think, blanket coverage, you could do something like a multivitamin.
Hmm.
I think a fish oil, I think vitamin D3. Um, I just did a video about MK7, which, is vitally important. These are some of the things that I have in my supplement. I got my supplement right here, but this is a powder, which is really cool. And it's an antioxidant. So I find like antioxidants are so important for longevity, for how you look and how you feel. All of these things just in waking life, plastics and pollution and things that attack us at a cellular level. You want to
Hmm.
protect yourself using antioxidants or eating, berries. You hear they're high ORAC value, or doing a greens drink, powdered greens.
Hmm.
Those things are really high in antioxidants, and that will protect you at a cellular level. And this is next level because this stuff, what's in here, you can't find in food. So
Hmm.
in here you have things like sulforaphane, for example, which is derived from broccoli. So that's, and cruciferous resveratrol. So it protects you against cancers. Alpha lipoic acid, which helps other nutrients in your body go a lot further, like CoQ10, which I also have in here. MK7 that I was just talking about, which, MK7 is good for arterial health. It
Hmm.
takes calcium out of the arteries and puts it in your bones, so it helps like blood flow. And you don't want calcification in your arteries. That's where we have heart disease and all these
Hmm.
issues. And then I'm one of the first to put creatine monohydrate in a longevity formula. Nobody was doing it, and I said, you know what? I believe so wholeheartedly in creatine monohydrate in a very conservative amount. So I only put 3 grams, but I put the best version that you can put in, which is called Creapure. It's a trademark version. And so that's where you have cognitive function, you have, more energy, more strength, endurance, better skin health. It's just the benefits are off the charts. It's one of the most widely studied nutrients on the planet, and it's completely safe and effective. But everything in this is all therapeutically dosed. So in other words, it's exactly what your body needs. It's recommended dosages. I'm super proud of it. It's a powder that has like a caramel flavor. And it comes with a little shaker cup. So
Oh, nice.
if you use, what's that?
Nice.
Oh yeah, thanks. So that way it's little, it's only that big, has a line, you fill it up to the line. I like to use almond milk or some kind of a plant-based milk. You could use regular or water, but it tastes like dessert. And that's another thing. If you're having cravings, you do 1 scoop of this, shake it up, and it's just, man, it tastes like dessert. And you do it once a day. So this is really good. From a supplement standpoint, I'd say again, be kind of conservative, if you're doing something like this product, I would say I would add fish oil in. Potentially, you could add in a very simple multivitamin based on your age, like a 50 plus, 40 plus, something like that. Keep it real simple. You don't have to do much more than that. And then a D3. Most people are lacking D3, and so I would do vitamin D, which if you did those things, and then of course do 1 protein shake a day, that should be enough. Again, if you want to do it in the morning, that's enough, man. That's giving you all the nutrition that you need, and then the rest comes from eating super clean and good food. You have that salad. Have the salad, man. Mix it up. Do some power greens in there. Do some spring mix, some spinach. Don't just do the same greens. Also don't just do iceberg. It's like drink water, So you want to do leafy greens that are, fun, and then put bell peppers in there, put tomatoes in there for the lycopene. You could put some feta cheese in there to pump up the flavor. Put some flax seeds on there, some wheat germ, whatever, like make it interesting, make yourself, because food is really, you want it to be nutritious. And instead of having like empty carbs and things like that, like I talk about the cereal. Everybody likes a bowl of cereal, It's like empty carbs, of course.
I want you to at least appreciate my cereal that I have sometimes, Greg. I get, instead of milk, I do a vanilla protein shake. So I do like Premier Protein, and then I buy the Premier Protein, high protein like cereal. I know there's probably some junk in there, but I feel like I'm at least getting like 40, 45 grams of protein in it for dessert. Yeah. So I feel like it could be worse.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. And like, if you heard of Ghost cereal or Magic Spoon, it sounds like I'm doing an ad for these guys, but like Ghost cereal, Magic Spoon, it's freaking $9 to $10 a box of cereal. But
it does add up.
Yeah, they're high in protein. My wife loves the Ghost protein cereal, but they're high in protein, low in impact carbs. A lot of them have like added fiber and things which pull away from the carbs, and also low sugar. So some of those cereals actually can be really good. Kashi makes a good one, the Golden Crunch and some of those. So if you look at your labels and you see, like, again, protein is the cornerstone. If you're looking at the protein, that opens the door for those carbs. And like you're saying, you do like kind of a protein vanilla, and you make that like your milk. That's the next level, man. So you can essentially have that midnight run for your
I've made it in life. Greg approved my cereal. I call it my protein. I call it my meathead cereal. And everybody, if anyone's over and I'm eating it, it's like, what are you eating? I'm like, it tastes good. So
there you go.
Awesome, man. Well, you've been a fantastic guest. Super grateful for your just support and encouragement and inspiration to literally millions of people around the world. Before getting into the last question, where's the best place people should follow you and learn more about your subs?
Yeah, well, on Instagram, it's just Gregg Avedon, at Gregg Avedon. I also have a Instagram that's for the supplement, which is Avedon Essentials.
Perfect.
So you know how you just put the at in front, so it's at Avedon Essentials or at Gregg Avedon. I try to post things that are going to help people, especially on Avedon Essentials. I'm starting a new series where I'm posting every Monday and Wednesday. And it's just things that help people, just whether I'm talking about supplements and nutrition or fitness and so forth. And then I also have, just for if somebody wants a resource, and this would be perfect, is go to at Avedon Fitness. And if you scroll all the way back to the first post, I have 21 days with Avedon. And there, I literally give you the 6-point plan that we're kind of talking about, give you that nutrition. Everything is free on there, but it's 21 days. And you just go day one and you watch, I do a video intro. I'll show you some of the workouts. I give you the workout every day. I give you the nutrition every day. So it's all right there. And that's on at Avedon Fitness. And so it's free, 21 days with Avedon. And then as far as my supplement, it's AvedonEssentials.com. And this is the antioxidant. This is our premier product, the one thing that we have right now. We're going to be coming out with more products that are based all on antioxidants.
Perfect.
Dog back there,
I love it. No, she's like, man, it's about dinner time. You called it. You said it was going to be happening.
Like
I'll make sure to link to everything too, and definitely we'll give you some support there, and really just appreciate your time. We've covered so much today. I mean, for my last question, I'm just curious, what do you think is, someone listening today, what's the one habit that you feel like could improve their health, their fitness, and their golf? Like just one thing to kind of simplify it even more.
Thing. I'm going to go back to the nutrition.
Okay.
There's one thing that you can do for yourself. Do what I'm telling you to do. Do that 6-point nutrition. If you want to really know what it is, go to at Avedon Fitness on Instagram, scroll to the first, and you'll see it's there. It's all free. But that's the one thing. You get that nutrition in order, I'm telling you, man, it's like life changes for yourself. Like life becomes a whole lot better when your nutrition is clean. It's like, I mean, this is something that was asked at one point. Somebody said, ask yourself, who am I? And some people get very literal with it. And I say, who am I? I am a better person when my health is like when I'm eating clean. I'm a better person. If you get to that point and you experience what it feels like, and you do what I'm telling you to do for 10 days, you'll find that you are a better person, not only for yourself, but for all the people around you. It's probably the best thing you do for yourself, for longevity, for lifestyle, for everything that could potentially happen in the future. I think that is the key to everything, is lifestyle. It's how you control, high blood pressure. That's how you control diabetes. That's how you control heart disease. All of these things is going to come back down to that one thing. And I know it's not the easiest thing to do, but if you could do that one thing, that's what I suggest.
I love it. Well, we really appreciate you sharing so much wisdom, and I know you've been in the industry for a long, long time, and thanks so much for hopefully helping people speed up success and take their health and fitness to the next level so they can play better golf and live a better life. So, Gregg, thanks again for being here, man.
Thanks, Michael. I appreciate you having me, buddy.